Okay, so we've now had 3 races and it's time to get serious. So far, the best result we've had is 5th in the Federation, thanks to Charlie Wolf's 1-year-old bird. I feel like these boys are starting to look really good now and we've got high hopes for the remainder of the year. This one, the love child of Charlie's Angel and my fastest bird 1998, has been second back to the loft in every race so far. One of the things I like about pigeon racing is the necessity of getting outside. After a long day working indoors with the jarring noise of machinery, finding a quiet spot in the countryside on a warm sunny evening to train the birds means the birds get to fly and I get to rest my ears and soak up the view.
Mastered the door yet, have you?
And from the genius of the old birds who can literally find their way home from anywhere, we turn to this year's young birds who struggle to walk through an open door.
If I open that door, will you go in it? No! Look, there's food in there.
So we have to get creative.
Yes, that's 2. It's like a letterbox. Or a parcel box. Come on. There you go. Come on. You scrawny looking thing. Come on. Yes, there we go.
Because racing pigeons need training and my hens spent the winter sitting in the loft laying eggs, they weren't all ready to send to the short races, which helps them ease into the longer races later in the year. So today I could only send half of them.
Hens, got 8 pretty good hens to go. I say pretty good, feel good. Come on ladies. Oops, sorry.
The next day I was feeling confident despite the east wind that had been forecast, which would ordinarily blow my race team over to the other side of the county. And with the warm weather, little Jasper emerged to pitch his chair ready for the main event.
Right, 11:10. I thought Charlie would have been here by now. Breakfast 8, 9, 10, 11. The birds will be here in a minute. I better get the dropper ready. It's really, really warm, Jazz. How warm was it going to be today, do you know? 24. And which way is the wind coming from? Oh, it's absolutely glorious. Here he is. No, not yet, Charlie. Not yet.
Bus stops at 11.
Have a seat, Charlie. It's very warm today. Do you want to drink?
Yeah,
I'll get one in a minute. I'll get all the cocks are away, other than one.
The reason for my newfound confidence was down to some extracurricular training myself and Archie had been undertaking after school, where Archie was keen to tell me all the playground gossip.
How many girls have you kissed?
0.
We're going to let the hens go. This is a midweek toss. What day is it today, Arch?
Tuesday?
Tuesday, yeah. So we're going to toss the hens and the cocks because it's not long until we start the proper races. We've got the NRCC coming up, which is a bit more of a distance race, and I'd like to send some hens to that. And they're not far off, I don't think, and the cocks aren't far off either, are they? So we had a good race at the weekend. It was only a short one, so we'll keep going, see if we can get these birds into some sort of shape. The southeast is a hard wind.
Back to the race, and just as I was briefly distracted,
How many were there? 2. Just 2? It sounded like a real whoosh.
with Charlie's eyesight clearly requiring attention, we were now on high alert.
There, look, look. Loads of them.
Oh, there they are.
Very low. You see, that must... Who will they be then? Come on. I said I wasn't going to whistle, I was going to leave him to it. Come on. Look at that, you didn't trap.
Fearing he'd flown straight over the sensor pad and through the bob wires, I tore up the garden path in my flip-flops.
Oh, he did. 9, 5, 6, 7. He just went straight in. He about broke the bloody doors. 6, 7. 6, 7. I can't remember, I'll have another look. Bloody hell, I've never seen him trap like that before. He couldn't get in quick enough. Oh, you should have seen it. He about smashed the door in, but he came in so hot. Here we are. I can't help it, I have to. I can't help it. I said I'm going to sit quietly and let them do it, but.
After that rapid trapping, the birds continued to arrive several minutes apart over the next hour. Some were descending from really high, some were skimming the rooftops. All were doing laps, which only served to remind me that next year I must have more dropper birds to encourage the racers to land.
Come on. That's a Belgian. Come on. Come on. Mitchell Brothers hen.
Yeah.
The first one was here. When was he here?
Ages ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where's Mighty?
2 minutes ago.
It's ruined.
It's a day of sport today, isn't it?
It is.
Jasper's football tournament. Pigeon racing. Crunchy, you making some sandwiches? Do you
Doing some sandwiches. Yeah, I'll just do a selection on
Yeah.
a plate and I'll bring them out.
want a sandwich, Charlie? Sandwich?
No, no, no.
We're having one.
No, I'm all right.
We've got 16 on the clock, but I think a couple more didn't time in. So I need to get a bigger pad really, because now that they're trapping so quick, they're literally hitting the pad and in through the bob wires, even with the bob wires down. So they're getting much more comfortable with it. Had a good sweep up. New lime, sand. I'm just going to put some more cold water in for these guys because I think some of them want it. Can add some electrolytes on a hot day like today. We haven't yet had the bird that finished 5th in the Fed last week. He's not back yet. But 1998's back, which is good. Still waiting on 1983, but she's not really raced much this year. So it will be a hard day for her. But I'm hoping to send her to the NRCC in a few weeks. So we're sort of building her up slowly. Alnwick, we ended up coming first. We're first in the club and we topped the Fed out of 1,428 birds. So I'm going to show you the bird that did it for us. I'll go and get him because he's resting. Where are you, champ? Come on, champ. Here we are. He's got his own box now, so here he is. Okay, so this is a futurity bird, an NRCC futurity bird from last year. He's a yearling. And we bought this from John Lenson, JW Lenson, who is in Sleaford or Spalding, somewhere that way. And I got 2 from him. And the other one that we had was, they were both really nice birds, nice pintails and quite tame to handle. Actually, it's not so tame now, but they were the most tame birds we had. And yes, he was a yearling, and he topped the Fed for us, so I was really happy with him. And he came home so fast. You see on the video, he just he hit that trap so fast, didn't he, that he just ploughed through it. I think he caught himself out. I don't think your legs were working properly, were they? Yeah, so here he is. He's a yearling, a John Lenson bird, pigeon, and yeah, he was 11 yards ahead in the race, so we were really, really happy with that. And he's just a lovely bird, aren't you? You're a lovely bird. So we're not going to race him this weekend. He's having a weekend off because he raced last weekend from Dunbar, or did he go to Berwick? I think he went to. Did he go to Berwick last weekend? Yeah. No, I think he went to Dunbar. Anyway, he went to one of them. And so he's going to have a weekend off, and then we're going to send him to
Perth, I think, and then that'll probably be him done for the year. We won't send him any further than that. We might send him some more fed races after that, but we won't go any further than Perth, I don't think, this year. But yeah, I was really happy with him. So you've done a good job, haven't you, mate? So that's him. We'll put him away. Good lad. The other thing I wanted to talk about is on the Facebook group. So if you're not a member of the Facebook group yet, it's How to Train Your Pigeon on Facebook. There's 3 questions or 4 questions. You have to answer them all, because I've just put those questions in just so we don't get loads of spammers. But what I've noticed is a lot of people that are starting out in pigeons, like me, are asking the same question. What do you do with young birds? How do you get your young birds to fly? And so I thought I'd do a quick explanation as to what I do. And this is basically what other people have told me. So it's not the best way necessarily, but it works for me. And that is, you never let these birds out if they're not hungry. So they have to be hungry. So these were fed yesterday afternoon. I definitely wouldn't let them out this morning. I will let them out this afternoon. And if they were really young and they'd never been out before, or they'd only been out a few times, then I'd give them like a half feed the day before I go to let them out, if that makes sense. So you wouldn't feed them up, give them loads of food, and then the next morning let them out, because they'll come out, they'll fly off, and they've got no interest in going back into the loft, because they just want to play and sit on the roof or on the garden or on top of there. Charlie suggested to me, he said, put some wire up, because what they'll do is they'll come out of here and then they'll just jump onto the roof of the loft, or when they're coming into land, they'll always land on the roof rather than on your landing board or on top of the aviary. So I put those up, and actually I did it on there, and on the first loft I built, and that worked really well. Some of them still go over there, and then you cut these little holes in. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but you cut these little holes in, because sometimes they'll land on the loft but they won't know how to get back through. They won't think, oh, I can fly over that. They'll just keep pacing up and down trying to get through. So you make a few little cuts in their holes, and then they can come back down. If you've got really young birds and they've never been out before, then once you've weaned them, you'll leave them in the loft for a few days, get them used to it, making sure that they're eating and drinking. And then the first time you let them out, what a lot of people do is they'll put like a cage over the aviary, like a settling cage, or on top of the loft, so that they can't fly off. It's just like this stuff basically, but you'll build like a cage out of it. I haven't done that because I've got aviaries, and so what I do is I just let them out into the aviary. They'll sit like this all day, looking out at where they live, and looking at the garden, so they know that this is home. And then when I do let them out, I'll open this, open that, I'll open the trap, I'll also open the door around the side. So some of them will just come outside the door and just let them wander about a little bit. But only do that, like I say, when they're hungry. And you've got to do that before they're too strong on the wing, which basically means do that while they've still got bits of yellow down in their feathers, and they're still young, because then that way they won't be able to fly away too far.
What's this?
This
pole here.
This pole, this is so that when I'm basketing them up, because we've got like 40 young birds, trying to pick them all up and catch them every day is a nightmare. Mine aren't tame enough for me to just to catch. So what I do is I open this like that. This is the same level, and then I'll put the basket up against it, and then I sort of shoo them all into the aviary, shoo them all into here, and then I slide the basket down. I'll do a video on it, actually, a full video of it. I think that'd be worth doing, wouldn't it? And it's just handy to have, and then that way you fill that basket up, move it, and then fill the next basket up. And it's just an easier way of catching them all.
The aviaries need a scrape out.
The aviaries do need a scrape, yeah. I'm tempted to get rid of this method, actually, because you end up with all this mess. A few people have commented and said you need a tray underneath, but I think I'm actually just going to get rid of this and just put a solid floor in that I can scrape easily, because you don't get wet, you don't get rained on, and I'll be able to scrape it just as often as I do the floors, which I don't actually scrape in there. But yeah, just for letting your young birds out, make sure they're hungry. And what Archie, who is today's cameraman, does, we whistle, don't we, Arch? And we shake the tin. Every time you feed them, every time, you pour it in, you make a noise, make a racket, let them hear the seeds hit the tray, the feeding trough, and you whistle, and you shake the tin. And then they learn that every time they hear that whistle and every time you shake that tin, they learn that it's food time. So when they come out here in the afternoon, because you haven't fed them since the day before and you only fed them half, They'll come out, they'll have a look, they'll wander about. Some of them won't want to come out because they're hungry and they see you and they think, oh, he's going to feed me now. No, get out and fly. And then you let them out, they have a bit of a fly. And then when you shake the tin, whistle, they should come rushing back in. What I do as well, I don't know if you can see this, Arch, try and see this. These bob wires, they move like that. What you can do is tie them up. So the first time you let them out, if you want to get them through there, is just move the bob wires out of the way. So they're just used to going through that hole. And then over time, just drop 1 or 2 of the bob wires. Just tie every other one up out of the way. And then once they're a bit more confident, then you can leave them all down. And that works really, really well. Here's our cameraman. Off to school today, aren't you?
Yeah. My brother's not though.
It's such a div. This is depurative and some remnants of young bird. But if your birds aren't flying, then a lot of people say you should feed them depurative, and you don't do it exclusively, but depurative, if they're too heavy, if you pick them up, your young birds, and they're not flying, give them depurative for a few days, at least 50-50 or just depurative, and that should get them flying. It works for me. Are you going to eat it? You're a weird child.